Hey guys, I'm Dov, and today I'm back with more Total War Warhammer 2 multiplayer action. Hopefully you all enjoyed the Festag special yesterday. I've got another fun video for you today. We are here with Bretonnia, of course, or the Chevaliers, I should say. And we are here with Henri, Royal Hippogryph Knights, and... What? What is that? A Bretonnian Lord? Yes, just the generic Bretonnian Lord, because he has a Hippogriff. And another unit of Hippogriffs, just because. So the idea here is that we have, 6 plus 6 plus 2, 12 Hippogriffs. Or, sorry, 14, math. 6 plus 6 is 12, plus 2, 14 Hippogriffs in total, right? And, yeah, we've, of course, just got some light ground forces. Some Knights Errant here for a bit of punch and some mobile archers because I don't think that I can really protect them with this tiny line of peasants. And yeah, of course, that's basically the whole idea here is to just hit and run as much as we can with these air units, just shock and awe, take units off. Any units that get isolated are done. And for my greenskin opponent here, this is Gojira. He's coming in with some Spider Riders. He's got some Gobos here, already cleaning up peasant mobs. Actually, a very cost-effective engagement for Gobos. They'll take very little damage there. Nasty Skulkers have taken some bow fire from those Yeomen. He's got a Spider, a Ragnarok Spider, very solid here. Wurzag, also a competitive pick pretty much always. More Skulkers, some Black Orcs, a Giant. Also got a Shaman for the Zap. And yeah, more Skulkers and Spider Riders. You can see here, this unit of Black Orc gets a little bit ahead of itself, and immediately we just come down and munch on their heads with all of these Hippogriffs here. With Knights. Yeah, Gojira wanted to try Foot of Gork, see how it would do against these Hippogriff Knights, and he succeeded in 100% deleting a unit of Peasants. Basically, no damage to the Hippogriffs. Bit rough there. While being popped, now that the majority of units are going to be getting engaged here, you can see Black Orcs starting to come in. They got a hold of those Yeomen for just a second, but I'm going to pull away there and let them eat the mobs. Meanwhile, over here, we're going to get a counter charge just in time as these Gobos... oh, maybe? Yep. Oh, looks like just barely... Might have not got the full counter charge with that second unit there, but the Skulkers use their smoke bomb, which means I can't pull away anytime soon, so we're going to just sit and fight for now, and we pulled the Hippogriffs back up into the air. Henri took quite a bit of damage from the Giant and the Ragnarok there, and you definitely have to be careful getting multi-modeled gooned like that, but we're going to drop down, put a couple hits on Wurzag real quick, and then immediately just punch through to the next unit, right? And this unit of Skulkers, a light unit like this, just gets absolutely destroyed by Hippogriffs. You can see Henri leading the way with his awesome tower helmet. Love that thing. Probably one of my favorite Bretonnian helmet designs, even though it looks kind of silly, to be honest. All of their helmet designs, the crests are, of course, not super practical, but they do look amazing, I have to say. And here they come for some more deletes. Just cycled up and around, turned the corner, come in, and now it's the Gobbo Archer's turn. So, again, you don't necessarily have to always be deleting high-value, armored units with these things. Just the terror and shock damage is enough to delete most units if they're isolated, right? If they're, if you get, like, multiple charges from the two Hippogriffs, plus Henri, plus the Lord, it's just way too much that most units can handle, and especially low leadership units like these goblins just get terrified pretty much instantly. That being said, there's this very heavy force here still just pushing through, and Gojira's doing a pretty good job of staying tight with his expensive troops here. I mean, the Black Orcs had taken some bad damage initially, but as long as he has these Skulkers here, the two monsters, Wurzag, and a few Black Orcs, he's definitely still got a shot of cleaning this one up. And speaking of cleaning up, that is going to be the role of the Knights Errant at this point. They're relatively cheap, so I can use them cost-effectively to try and keep a lot of these routing units from coming back. And that means it's time to start working on the big boys. Wurzag comes in for a countercharge. Skulker's coming in, probably going to drop that smoke bomb. Looks like Fists of Gork. Yep, on the Ragnarok Spider, very good stuff. 90 melee attack, 54 melee defense. We're going to come in with a rear charge on these Black Orcs, so that they can't come in and get good armor-piercing support, but that Giant's also coming in now to get some pounding damage. FG to Git goes off on Henri. I've had to dedicate most of my healing to him. The Damsel has been relatively safe up until this point, so good stuff so far, but this unit of Knights Errant is pretty much done for. Another nice zap, hits the Lord, Doesn't do too much damage, but Henri is just tanking like a beast right now. He's taken a lot of damage. I've not been very efficient about using that Charmed Shield. But the Lord, on the other hand, hasn't taken quite as much. And likewise, the two Hippogryph Knight units critically are both still completely healthy in terms of their models. And we just gave this one a regrowth, you saw there. So it's going to keep all of its models healthier. And of course, that perfect vigor from the regrowth is very critical in the late game. You can see that balance power started to pull back as the Giant and the Arachnarok kind of go back to back and just start pounding here. Definitely a very grinding fight, and although it may look like I have a decent lead at this point, maybe not the best, but this Foot of Gork here, again, going to try one more time, see if he can get some good damage. It did a little bit of damage to those Hippogryph Knights there, but it's a bit tough, because I really didn't have good targets for Foot of Gork in this army, right? Like, there's just not really, I mean, in Foot of Gork, the Knights errant, but that's not cost-effective at all, right? So, at this point, these two monsters have taken enough damage from the few charges that we put in, those big shock charges. Nice cast of those Fanatics, though, going to come in and actually down a few of those. Oh, yeah, that killed like 4 or 5 of them, those Mounted Yeomen. The Fanatics are one thing for the Greenskins that are super underrated. Like, if you are good with your Fanatics micro, it's devastating. It can be absolutely devastating, and those units will pay for themselves super fast, but yeah, not enough to stand up, obviously, at this point. One more regrowth, this time on the other Hippogryph Knight. Still has all its models online, and that perfect vigor, again, that vigor refresh means they'll be fighting at full strength in this critical late-game situation. So, although Wurzag's still alive, he's managed to keep Wurzag alive, which is definitely easier said than done, especially against this kind of a heavy Air Force build. But the Goblin units just kind of scattered all around. We've still got the Mounted Yeomen as well, who can chase down routing units in this late game now that they're out of ammo. And that just keeps these units, these Greenskins units, from getting the support they need to really win this fight. The Giant and the Arachnarok Spider with the proper infantry support could win this fight, but isolated like this, it's too much. Oh man. Lord's taking a pounding at this point, though. All of a sudden, Wurzag comes in with the Giant, and is he about to make a comeback here? The Lord, gets taken down there. Not quite enough, though, as the Giant gets routed. The Arachnarok Queen, or not the Queen, rather, just a regular Spider gets routed, and all that's left is Wurzag and some Black Orcs here, so yeah. Henri's not too happy that his friend there, his brother-in-arms, so to speak, got taken down by that foul, very unchivalrous backstab. So he's going to come in and end it, no doubt chase Wurzag down and finish him off. So very fun stuff. Well played to Gojira. Hopefully you guys enjoyed watching that one. And this build, I've tried some variations of it. I have a couple of other replays I'm going to show you guys probably in a few days. But it's fun. It's definitely a lot of fun. I understand both the people I've tried this against were pretty frustrated playing against it, and I totally get that. A build like this, because you can very much kind of dictate what you want to do with those air units, if your opponent spreads out too much, it's really easy to just pick them apart with superior mobility. And in that situation, you know, Gojira did a decent job of staying tight there, but you saw there wasn't much separation between those Black Orcs and those monster units on that initial charge. And even still, I mean, we were able to come in and do a ton of shock damage and pull out real quick. And having all these meat shield units to just sit there and take all the hits, you can see the peasants did their duty very, very well in that they all died horribly without getting any kills. I mean, the Spearmen actually did okay supporting against, like, some of the Spider Riders and stuff. Their decent melee defense means they'll hold out a little bit longer. And the Mounted Yeomen, I actually am coming around to Mounted Yeomen quite a bit. I'm going to be using them in more of my Bretonnia builds, certainly. Because, I mean, Knights Errant are okay to chase the units down. 700 points, you know, it's not too cost inefficient, especially, you know, things like Black Orcs, you know, more expensive things. Or if you can route multiple units at the same time with them. That's cost-effective, but the Mounted Yeomen are just that much more cost-effective, right? And the bows as well, very critical here in helping take down the Giant. I wasn't really highlighting it too much, but they were focus firing on the Giant pretty much the whole time as much as I could. And it was a nice key there. And yeah, this is also probably the best use, or one of the only uses for the generic Bretonnian Lord, and it's actually pretty decent, I think. I mean, there is certainly, you know, if you take Lewin or Alberic, take maybe some Pegasus Knights as well. Something like this, just that massive shock terror presence, because Bretonnia tends to struggle against those armored single entity models. I mean, there's something like this can be a way to help counter that. For Gorgira's side, for the Greenskins, we kind of talked through a few different things, but my biggest suggestion was to cut this Giant. Giants are pretty good in a number of matchups, don't get me wrong, and especially more of the melee-oriented matchups. They're certainly most meta, I would say, in those matchups, right? But against a faction like Bretonnia that has excellent cost-effective archers, it's really, really tough to make it work. The Ragnarok Spider, on the other hand, definitely a very, very good tool here. And, I mean, the damage from the Giant is amazing, but the risk of archers is too much. But something like this, 2 Ragnarok Spiders, and Wurzag, you know, he's decent. He's pretty hard to snipe. But likewise, if you have somebody like Grimgor or Skarsnik saturated in between these two, personally, I prefer Skarsnik. I know other people prefer Grimgor in this type of a situation. But because he has charge defense and yeah, anti-large poison, AP, he's good at defending himself against things like Hippogryphs. Still don't want him, again, fighting alone. You never want to be fighting alone. But that Sprite of the Bad Moon can also help. The Expert Charge Defense, actually, believe it or not, if you can get that onto your spiders and then face them towards the Hippogryphs as they're charging down, you can negate their charge bonus somewhat. And that can be very, very useful. I mean, more so against the Pegasi rather than Hippogryphs. If we look here, Hippogryphs still have a decent charge bonus, 50 charge bonus, and especially more so for the Lord on the Hippogriff. He has 75, and of course, if we come over here and have a look at Henri, he has 85. So that charge bonus is pretty impactful for the Lords, for the Hippogriffs as well, more so for the Lords, but that expert charge defense I think would help here. I don't know that you necessarily need Trixie Traps here. If you want to be cute and hide your spiders, you can. If you want to spook your opponent, but I don't know that I necessarily would here. Bretonnian missiles aren't really much of a risk to spiders, and that's the main reason to use this, in my opinion. Go that route. And then from here, I would probably grab 1 Black Orc, maybe 2 Black Orcs, the 80 Gloons. Let's grab some cost-effective Goblin Chaff support. These guys will do well against peasants, pretty much all peasants, even like men-at-arms, especially if they have juiced-up stats. They'll do quite well. Likewise, I'm going to take an Orc Shaman here. We'll cut power to Wa. I don't necessarily need that improved power recharge. And evasion, also not too big of a deal. Let's just take Fists of Gork and Brainburster. Brainburster, I mean, it's okay against Cav. It's very good against light infantry, so you can definitely destroy Bretonnia in that way. Foot of Gork is very good, but it has a long spin-up time, relatively long spin-up time. It's pretty expensive on Winds of Magic, especially to Overcast. 26 Winds of Magic is a lot. Overcast. And, yeah, if you miss with it, or if your opponent dodges it, or if you use it in the wrong spot, or like with my build, if your opponent just doesn't bring any targets for it, then it's not amazing in my opinion. Fist of Gork is very good, and Brain Burst is just a little bit cheaper of a damage spell, so I like it better, a little bit more versatile in that way. We probably want some kind of cavalry, some kind of mass here, so we're going to grab probably a couple Spider Riders. And I don't know that I would necessarily try out the Savage Boar thing, just because Bretonnia will eat you alive there. I think the magic damage of the Grail Knights and the Royal Pegasus Knights and stuff like that, plus, I mean, Savage Orc Boar Biggins, I don't know. Maybe if you got a good countercharge on Hippogryphs once they were already on the ground, but very likely they're just going to face charge the Savage Orc Boar Biggins directly, and then they'll just die, right? So, we've only got 1 Regiment of Renown slot filled so far, and we definitely want to fill all of them. You could actually just take the Queen only, but yeah, maybe we'll just do only the Queen and actually take a 3rd Black Orc here. And then come in and get Mangy Marauders. The armor-piercing missiles will be quite nice. And we could get maybe a couple more Cav units, a couple more Goblins, maybe some Skulkers for the Smoke Bomb. Something like this might be okay. The 3 Black Orcs is really the thing you want to play from, and try and protect them as much as possible from stuff like Trebuchets and getting face charged by Hippogryphs. Skarsnik, and the spider just need to kind of stay tight on the 3 black orcs. And from there, you kind of play off of that, right? You have your mobile units, you have your support units. Alternately, you know, you can still take Wurzag here. He's absolutely, I would say, probably the most competitive, but he is also very tricky to use. Like, for myself, at least, I very often get him killed because I just can't manage to keep him alive. But in terms of his loadout, same thing here for Bretonnia. I would pretty much just go with exactly the same loadout. Brain Bursta, Fists of Gork, cycle between these two as much as you can. You can take Gaze of Mork if you want. It's pretty bad. But if you want to get those extra procs of the Bonewood Staff, you can. This will open up a little bit more points for you here. Like, you could potentially come in, maybe fine-tune some cost on some different things. Like, I like the Spider Riders for the poison. I don't really want to cut them necessarily, but what we could do is cut one of the Black Orcs for the Warlords boys. Oh, no, that's too many Regiments of Renown for ladder. But in a tournament, you could do that totally. Just get the Warlords boys and go a little bit wider with more Regiments of Renown. But for ladder, maybe just keep the Black Orc and try that. You want to play back with your Spider Riders as much as you can. Yeah, I could almost just grab like one more Wolf Rider Archer or another Spider Rider Archer or something with the rest of the points. Kind of up to you. But something like this might be pretty solid. You know, you can potentially pull your opponent out of position, force some mistakes with these Wolf Riders, and potentially counter Mounted Yeoman as well. Likewise, you've got your Light Cavalry to poison and provide some mass and some blockage. The Black Orcs are main damage dealers, along with the Queen, of course, and you've got some utility units and some support chaff. So something like this I think might be pretty solid. I'd be curious to get your guys' thoughts about Greenskins build versus that Hippo squad. Bringing you more of that soon, so stay tuned for that. Be sure to like and subscribe if you want to get more. Thank you once again for watching, and we'll see you next time.